Thank you for having me out. I'm Trevor, along with Jordan and Pico, who's not here tonight. You're AugmentAnalytics. 3 weekends ago, I went to the Coachella Valley Music Festival. It was a phenomenal experience. The music was sublime, the crowds were eclectic, but there was one major problem with my festival experience, and that's that it was crowded. Over 90,000 people attended Coachella Valley Music Festival each weekend, and from a ticket sales perspective, this is phenomenal for Golden Voice, the company that organizes Coachella. However, it's also an operations nightmare. I actually distinctly remember standing in line for over 45 minutes to fill up my water bottle in 97-degree heat. The crowd was getting irritable, people were pushing and shoving, there were fights breaking out. That's not what really comes to mind when you think of going to Coachella. Also, imagine if you're a band at this festival and you look out and you see that as your crowd. Although it may be very reassuring to see that a lot of people came to see you perform, you really understand very little about the people who are actually in your crowd, short of looking at the Facebook profiles of the people who bought tickets. You have no idea the age demographics, gender demographics. You don't know what artists those people went to see earlier on in the day. And we think this greatly hinders artists and organizers' ability to put on profitable events. Now we know that there are 2 things that every festival attendee has in common: a love for music, and one of these, a festival wristband. And this is where AugmentAnalytics comes in. Currently, right now, if you go to Coachella, you only use this once. You walk through the turnstile at the front gate, you scan your wristband, they say you're at the event, that's it, it's done. For the rest of the weekend, you're carrying this useless piece of plastic on your wrist that Coachella had to spend $1 to put there, and that you have to deal with. What Augment's going to do is put a radio beacon in every single person's wristband so that Golden Voice and other festival organizers will be able to track the locations of every single individual within the festival over time throughout the course of the weekend. So, right now, this is what the map of Coachella looks like. Even if you're the festival organizer, this is pretty much all you know. You get information from your operations staff radioing in and telling you, oh, there's a alarm in the bathroom. And then you have to interpret that, come up with a plan, tell your operations staff how to respond. With Augment, this is what Coachella's weekend looks like. I'm going to walk you through a weekend at Coachella with AugmentAnalytics. First, imagine you're the band AC/DC, and although you do see that you have a large crowd, you really can't understand who is in it. With Augment, you get the names, you get gender information, you get the age demographics, you get access to Facebook's profiles, previous artist preferences, the artists that people went to afterwards, which songs that you played that caused people to come closer to the stage, songs that you played that drove people away. You get to figure out what kinds of food people like. We get to group artists together by audience. I'll go over why this is all relevant later. This is also useful for vendors at events like Coachella. For example, there's this delightful hot dog stand called Kushiyaki Dog that was in one corner of the festival. And although I thought the food that they had was better than any other stand at the venue, it was out of the way and difficult to get to. If Coachella was able to, or if Kushiyaki Dog and Golden Voice were able to identify which vendors were gaining a lot of traction, even in outside, removed locations, they can reorganize their festival for the next day to optimize their layout to identify and target the customer's needs. Furthermore, if Golden Voice made the sad mistake of booking Nickelback, apologies to any Nickelback fans in the audience, to perform on a stage like Sahara, although the crowd may have appeared to fill up the venue, in reality, you'd be able to see that the crowd was half as dense, and that the people who did go see Nickelback were engaged with the rest of the festival. Instead of going to other artists that spent a long time lying on the lawn, they weren't really participating, they weren't buying food from vendors, it really wasn't the proper target audience and artist for Coachella. And finally, one of the most fascinating values that we can add is the security. If every single guest at the festival is tagged, you can identify between artists, journalists, and festival guests, and you can figure out when people are where they shouldn't be. So, for example, if an artist is due to perform in an hour and you realize that they're lost in the crowd, you can dispatch security to extricate them. If one of your guests is lost behind one of those stages, you can help them find their way to the places where they're supposed to be. So a lot of you are probably wondering, how are we going to make this work? You can't possibly track the location of every single individual in the crowd in real time. And it actually isn't too bad. So what we do is we place a radio beacon like this in every single wristband. This one I bought is from Qualcomm, it costs $5. And the design I'm working on right now to mass produce it costs roughly 60 cents per wristband to broadcast this information. The receivers, this is one of the prototypes I have right now. This one costs probably $40 to make. The design I'm working on right now for mass production is looking at $15 per receiver, and that hardware is reusable on my wristbands. We place receivers for every 200 feet around the festival grounds, and we're able to collect the data, broadcast from the wristbands, mark time and signal strength, and then triangulate people's location in real time. And then at the end of the festival, all that data is passed through Augment's proprietary software to develop useful analytics for organizers, artists, and vendors. There's a $25 billion concert and event promotion market in America right now, with 140 major festivals run annually in the United States. And currently there are no other companies offering a service like this, so we would be first to market. What is most interesting though is that the music industry is hurting. After the advent of online digital distribution, record sales, 8-track sales, CDs are non-existent. Almost all the money they make comes from events like Coachella, Outside Lands, FYF. We're able to restore and improve a vast portion of the record label's lost income by giving them the opportunity to optimize and come up with plans for new festivals. The hardware we would lease, and then we would sell the data to each vendor, artist, label, event organizer independently to maximize our profits and tailor the information best for each audience. Augment isn't useful only for music festivals. It can be applied at auto shows, trade shows, conventions like this, or open world, amusement parks. Any place where you have a crowd and it's worth it to understand what the people in the crowd are doing, Augment has a place. And again, another major question a lot of people bring up is why don't you just use people's cell phones? And there's two major points. One, I can take my cell phone and put it down and go wherever I want. It's very easy to lose cell phones. And also batteries die. A lot of events like this, it's difficult to actually maintain charges in people's batteries. And even if in the future cell phone battery technology were to improve and people were to keep their phones, the biggest one is the specificity of the radio technology. If you were to use Bluetooth or Wi-Fi in the cell phones to perform this triangulation, the broadcast intervals for the radios of these phones is so short that they overlap and interfere with each other, and the data is useless. When we tailor our radio systems for events, for these events specifically, we can circumnavigate all the problems typically associated with cell phone radios at Coachella. I don't know if any of you expect to send a text for a music festival. It just doesn't happen. Anyway, we are AugmentAnalytics. Thank you for having us out. Thank you.